One Piece chapter 1173, we got a ton of crazy info, so let's dive into it. Starting off with this cover story, honestly, I hate it. It makes me uncomfortable and I'm gonna leave it at that. We got the Domi Reversi Giants versus Ya Rule and his squad, and it's not looking good for them. Zoro starts to reveal his plan, but he says, first I have to know, is it okay if I just slice your homies up? And Hydrogen's like, damn, that's actually a good question. Is it okay if you slice my homies up? And then the Domi Reversi Giants start talking some shit, so Hydrogen's like, you know what, do it. A very important thing to note is Zoro cannot get in between these giants, or he might get flipped. So staying above them will help him with that, which also just alludes to the fact that this only works while on solid ground, potentially. Zoro pulls up with a fresh attack, and then we realize that Oda rocks with Peak. I'm not saying it's a reference, but this is another GOAT right here. It looks as if he made all of the giants attack themselves. Most importantly, Dory and Bragi. But something happens here. Zoro begins to fall, seemingly directly between these two. And in the bottom of this panel, it looks like something is happening to Zoro. Is this about to prove the Homeland theory wrong and give me one of the biggest I told you so's in a minute? Next, we see Brook inching his way along Route 8, finally making it to Princess Shuri? So who the hell is Gunko? Brook even says, I'm sure you couldn't be Princess Shuri, but you look just like her, so I had to find out. He says, even if you're not the same person, you're at least relatives, right? Because at this point, if you were Shuri, you'd be 80 years old. And certainly she wouldn't recognize Brook with the way he looks now. So he goes on to say, but your face, your blue hair. Interesting. The mismatched eyes, and your love for my music. It all aligns perfectly, just like we've all been saying for a minute now. But then we get the twist I did not see coming. I never wanted to think of you again for the rest of my life, not the father-killing princess that stole the life of the person to whom I owe everything. Brook's got beef with her? So this obviously implies that Gunko or Princess Shuri killed her father, to whom Brook was probably the guard for. But I don't believe that for a second. I'm thinking this is the very first time Imu started taking control of Princess Shuri, to begin grooming her into the Gunko that we know today. Gunko begins to push back on Imu's control and even for a moment tells Brook to run. She releases the arrows that she has wrapped around him, as well as all the other arrows on the island. Imu is pissed, but Gunko was able to break through a little bit. Brook questions her again, saying, why would you tell me to run? I came here for smoke and I'm gonna get it. We gotta finish what we started. And then we see Brook be the very first person to clash with Imu. Much like Brook was the first one to clash with a Yonko. Our GOAT. We see the rest of the Straw Hats get freed and we see Sanji pulling up on Nami. We see an incredibly brave showing from Colin and the rest of the giant children, saying to stand up like a man and fight us. And then the parent squad pulls up. And then we get a fight with Nika, the god of destruction. And they start turning up. We get to see the triple General Gogoku sovereignty, and that sends the god of destruction straight into the ship that they needed to get the kids off this island. And with that, these plans might just be foiled. What a chapter this was. As always, let me know what you think in the comments.